I think it's enough of this madness. Welcome to Friday night in Bahrain. It is Friday night, isn't it, Phil? Yes, Friday night in Bahrain. An action-packed day on and off the track. Off track first, I think, we'll go for it. Everyone who was getting excited about the return of natural aspiration V10s, stand down a little bit. It's being kicked into certainly medium length grass, maybe not the long grass. A little bit of a dose of, shall we say, civility. I mean, I kind of feel like everyone was getting a bit excited, and it was a bit like one of those teenage parties, and then the parents came home early and said, pack it away, kids, because it's been shut down, hasn't it, Phil? And everyone's sort of aligning behind the 2026 regs and saying, don't start kicking them about first.
Yeah, I think it's been a fairly sensible day for once in Formula One. Look, the 2026 regulations were never going to go away. That was never going to happen. But there has been a lot of noise about introducing V10s or doing something different and potentially doing it before the 5-year time frame of the next gen of regs is coming up. It's pretty clear that the people that have signed up to these regs, specifically Audi and Honda, said, like, we cannot. We've invested so much money and time into this, we can't go against it now. I understand Mercedes is also,
Funny that everyone thinks they've got the best engine, so funny they should be putting their foot down and saying, well, we're not giving you any leeway.
We're pretty happy with the status quo as it is, but yeah, I think the main takeaway from today is the 26 rules are here to stay. 5 years, 4 years, that will be decided later on. There will be follow-up meetings. This was just an exploratory meeting. And the second takeaway is hybrids in general are here to stay also for the next generation. So naturally aspirated V10s, tough. With a hybrid component, with a KER system, a V8 with a KERS, I think that's all on the table. But some sort of hybridization and sustainable fuels, that is always going to be here.
Electrification is here to stay, says the FIA. More on that to come, I think, electrification. Shall we turn to matters on track today? McLaren fastest in both sessions, and yet Andrea Stella took to the pulpit in the FIA press conference to say he doesn't like this talk of McLaren being dominant. He says that he suggested there's an element of gamesmanship in other teams saying that McLaren are dominant, and obviously the innuendo about the flexing rear wings hasn't gone away. Should we dive into that straight away, because it's still going on. Red Bull clearly annoyed certainly about this footage appearing to show the McLaren rear wing flexing at speed more than the Red Bull rear wing was at Suzuka. They can't do anything about it because that wing has been subjected to all the load tests and been found legal. So what do you do when you can't protest something because it's legal? You get the media and the fans talking about it and try and light a fire the other way. I mean, am I right or am I right?
Yeah, we saw Jos Verstappen sharing the tweet where that flex was apparent, although it was very minor compared to the flexing we saw last year and at the test. There's not much they can do about it. Just the FIA has to say, okay, we have to look at it further, use the cameras, but I doubt this is going anywhere.
It's not. My camera never lies anymore, sang Bucks Fizz in, I believe, 1982.
I was waiting for your first pop reference of the day, and there it is.
It was an episode of Top of the Pops that was re-shown on BBC 4 recently from around this time of year in 1982. Anyway, this is going to annoy that. It's going to bug the hell out of the video team having to cut this nonsense out. Anyway, the thing is, can you actually measure by camera alone? It's a little bit heuristics and feel, as James Vowles would say. It's not very accurate necessarily. It's very subjective. It's not as objective as a static load test. But I think, if memory serves, Nicholas Tombassis did say can't rule it out if this carries on.
I think the technology is there or thereabouts to do it, but then that brings other complications with it, and I think it will be a lot more labor intensive as well for the FIA to go over that, rather than just do the load test and you're down. So it's more used as an indication of whether or not the load tests are in the right ballpark or not. It's not impossible that we will go to cameras in the future, but there's some work to be done.
Well, we're all working harder nowadays, aren't we? So work harder, you mangy dogs, over in scrutineering, I say. What about the best of the rest? Mercedes looked pretty impressive today.
Yeah, it's always difficult to read into FP2 times. We don't know to fuel loads, engine modes, all that stuff. We know Red Bull, for example, likes to run their engines quite lean in practice, and then they make quite a big jump on Saturday. So if you take, Russell and Leclerc were on the same speed, 5 tenths behind the McLarens, and then Verstappen was 8 tenths behind. There's easily 3 tenths in that. So we don't know. Obviously, McLaren, as you pointed out earlier, they're a bit annoyed about being called the favourites, which they are. But I do think it's genuine here because of how high temperature it is and how demanding this circuit is on the tyres. So if you are good on tyres, this is a circuit where it's going to show the most.
And Red Bull, quite paranoid about high degradation track surface, high temperatures. It looked like they were trying to experiment with different setups across the cars during FP2 particularly, and Yuki Tsunoda seemed to have got the bum's rush out of that one, didn't he? He seemed very downbeat afterwards.
Yeah, they tried a few things that didn't entirely work. I think part of that is also trying to get Yuki just more comfortable in the car, because clearly, as we discussed yesterday, he's found out the hard way that it's not as easy as it seemed in a simulator, is it? So yeah, we'll see. Give him time. Not too much, because it's Red Bull, but give him some time.
Shepherd's crook.
Yeah.
And finally, we had a nice lunch. F1 has a new corporate sponsor, a pasta sponsor.
Which we're not allowed to name.
We're not allowed.
Are we?
Are we allowed to name them? They've got a stand behind us. The scion of the family dynasty raced in Formula One briefly for Minardi in 1989 through to 1990. Also won the Le Mans 24 Hours in 1985. Interesting press conference today, lots of grandies there. Gerhard Berger, Ivan Capelli, Flavio Briatore.
Yeah, lots of big cheeses.
There's some big bits of cheese passed around, weren't there? Quite a convivial lunch. Spaghetti in a sort of he described it as warm, the chef. The chef was Massimo Bottura, famous 3 Michelin stars and a green Michelin star.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what did you make of it? I thought it was nice, but yeah, it wasn't warm.
It was a bit small.
It was a bit small.
Is the green Michelin star for taking the piss out of your customers?
we may have had to go for another serving elsewhere, but
you did. I didn't. I've not eaten since. Anyway, there we go. There was also I know in these videos we make a few silly errors. A penne for your thoughts down in the comments section. Now, before we
that's terrible.
This doesn't get any better, does it? No. Before we sign off, we got given a goodie bag after the Barilla launch announcement, and fascinating contents. I'm going to show you this, and we'd like you. It kind of looks like is it a lead for the smallest dog in the world? Wrong answers only. Let us know in the comments.